The stars above New Harmony were calm and quiet that morning. The colony sat on a gentle green planet with wide fields of wheat and tall rows of corn. Small houses with bright roofs lined the streets. Children laughed as they ran to school. It was a peaceful place, far from the busy core of human space. Most of the 12,000 people here were farmers, teachers, doctors, and scientists. They had come to build a new home, not to fight wars. High above the planet, a dark shadow appeared in the sky. At first, people thought it was a storm cloud. Then the shadow grew larger. It was a Krell battle fleet. The ships looked like giant black beetles, with sharp legs and glowing red eyes. The Krell Dominion had found this world 3 months earlier. Their scouts reported rich veins of a rare mineral called thorium X under the hills. The Krell wanted it. They always took what they wanted. The Krell were tall insects with hard black shells. Their many eyes could see heat and movement. They spoke in sharp clicks and used smells to give orders. For thousands of years, they had conquered other species. They believed strength came from fear. When they took a new world, they made sure everyone remembered who ruled now. Commander Vexthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Sting. He was the largest Krell on the ship, with extra spikes on his shoulders. His mandibles clicked slowly as he watched the blue-green planet below. Primitives, he said to his officers. Soft skins, short lives. They will kneel or they will burn. His officers answered with quick chitters of agreement. The Krell had faced many races before. Most gave up after the first show of force. Humans, they thought, would be the same. The fleet moved into low orbit. Dropships fell like black rain. They landed in the main square of New Harmony and on the landing fields outside town. Their legs clicked on the hard ground. Their plasma lances glowed blue-white. The human militia tried to fight. They had rifles and a few old armored trucks. But the Krell were fast and strong. Their armor stopped bullets. Their weapons cut through metal like paper. In less than 1 hour, the fighting stopped. Most human fighters were dead or captured. The rest raised their hands. They did not want their families hurt. Mayor Elena Ruiz walked forward under a white flag. She was a small woman with gray hair. She spoke calmly into the translator device the Krell held out. "We surrender," she said. "Please do not harm our people. We have children here." Vexthar's mandibles opened in what might have been a smile. "Children," he repeated through the translator. His voice sounded like dry leaves scraping together. "Good. They will learn respect early." The Krell rounded up the adults. They marched them to the central park and made them kneel in long rows. Soldiers stood over them with weapons ready. The children were brought from schools and homes. Teachers tried to keep them calm, but many cried. The youngest ones clung to their mothers and fathers. Vexthar wanted a lesson for the galaxy. He ordered cameras turned on. The images would go to every species in the Concord. He wanted them to see how easily humans broke. He chose the schoolyard next to the main square. It had swings, slides, and a wide open space. He ordered the parents who had fought hardest to be brought there. These were the ones who had fired shots during the landing. 10 men and 6 women. Their hands were tied behind their backs. "Watch," Vexthar said to the crowd. "This is what happens when you resist." The parents were lined up against the school wall. Krell soldiers raised their plasma lances. The weapons hummed with power. One mother screamed, "The children are watching. Don't do this in front of them." He gave the order. Blue fire flashed. The plasma lances fired in a single line. The parents fell. Smoke rose from their bodies. But the aim was not perfect. Some shots went wide. The schoolyard was too close. Energy bolts struck the ground near the children who stood at the edge of the crowd. Dirt exploded. Hot fragments flew. Screams filled the air. A girl of 8 years named Mia fell with burns across her arm and face. Her brother, 6-year-old Tomas, was hit in the leg. He dropped and could not stand. 3 other children were burned on their hands and backs as they tried to run. One small boy, barely 4, lay still on the grass. A piece of superheated metal had gone through his chest. The crowd of adults tried to rush forward. Krell's soldiers pushed them back with force rods. Electric shocks made people fall. More screams rose. Vexstar looked at the scene. His compound eyes reflected the smoke and fire. Let them see how weak the humans are. Let them see how their young break so easily. The cameras kept rolling. The images were sent out live. Across hundreds of worlds, aliens watched. Some turned away. Others clicked mandibles or made soft sounds of pity. But no one spoke against the Krell. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only a few colonies and a small fleet. The older species did not want trouble over a frontier world. On Earth, the transmission arrived without delay. Families sat in living rooms and watched the horror. Mothers covered their mouths. Fathers stared with hard eyes. Children asked why the bug people were hurting kids like them. In a quiet room deep under the United Terran Command building, a group of leaders watched the same feed. No one spoke for a long time. Then, General Marcus Hale, a man with white hair and a scarred face, stood up. He looked at the others. His voice was low and steady. They burned our children, he said, in front of cameras, for the whole galaxy to see. Another officer, Admiral Lin, nodded slowly. We have the recordings, every second. Hale turned to the window that looked out on the dark Earth below. Send the message, he said. One message, no more. A communications officer typed quickly. The words appeared on the screen. You have injured human children. There will be no negotiation. There will be no terms. Say farewell to your entire species. The message was sent to the Krell flagship, to their home worlds, and to every major relay station in known space. No pictures, no threats of ships or bombs, just those words. On the Iron Sting, Vexstar received the message. He read it twice, then his mandibles opened wide in a laugh. The sound echoed through the bridge. Primitive threats, he said. They have 30 ships at most. We have thousands. What can they do? His officers chittered in agreement. They turned back to their screens. The occupation continued. Krell engineers began digging for the Thorium X. Soldiers patrolled the streets of New Harmony. Life under new rulers began. But on Earth, things were different. In hidden bases under mountains and oceans, machines hummed to life. Scientists opened sealed vaults. Old files marked Pale Horse were pulled from cold storage. Special teams boarded stealth ships that had waited in silence for decades. No one shouted. No one made speeches. No fleets launched yet. But the decision had been made. The children of New Harmony were still crying in the schoolyard. Medics worked fast to save them. Mia held her burned arm and whispered to her brother, "It will be okay. Mom will come." Tomas tried to smile through the pain. Mom always comes. High above, the Krell ships watched the planet like silent hunters. They did not know what was waking up below. They did not know that humans could be patient. And when humans were patient and angry at the same time, entire species could disappear. The message from Earth arrived without warning. It came through every major subspace relay, straight to the Krell flagship Iron Sting, to their hive cities on the homeworld, and to every outpost in the Dominion. No fancy images, no angry voices, just plain words in the common galactic tongue. You have injured human children. There will be no negotiation. There will be no terms. Say farewell to your entire species. On the bridge of the Iron Sting, Commander Vexstar stared at the glowing text on the main screen. His mandibles clicked once, twice. Then he made the sharp chittering sound that passed for laughter among the Krell. The officers around him joined in. Their compound eyes glittered with amusement. "Look at this," Vexthar said. "The soft skins send words. Words. They think words will stop us." He waved a clawed hand. "Delete it. Continue the occupation." The message vanished from the screens. The Krell returned to their tasks. Engineers directed mining machines that tore into the hills around New Harmony. Soldiers patrolled the streets. They made sure the humans stayed inside their homes after dark. Life went on under new rules. But on Earth, the message was not empty. It was the start of something cold and careful. In a deep underground complex near the old city of Geneva, General Marcus Hale sat at a long table. Screens covered the walls. Each screen showed different views. Satellite images of Krell ships, medical reports from New Harmony, lists of names. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines. Admiral Lin stood next to him. She pointed to one screen that showed the burned children being carried into the colony hospital. "We have confirmed 37 injured, 12 critical, 4 dead already." Hale's face did not change. He had seen death before. But children were different. Everyone in the room knew it. "Project Pale Horse," Hale said quietly. "Status?" A scientist in a white coat stepped forward. Dr. Elena Voss was small and thin, with dark eyes that never blinked much. She had worked on Pale Horse for 20 years. "Phase 1 ready," she said. "The vector is complete. Airborne. Species-specific. No effect on humans or any other known race. Incubation period, 3 to 5 days. First symptoms, loss of pain response. Then, motor control. Then, hive coordination. Final stage, sterility in adults. No cure. No reversal." Hale nodded once. "Deployment?" "Stealth drones launched 30 minutes ago," Voss answered. "They will enter Krell atmosphere in 48 hours. They carry enough for every core world and occupied colony. After that, natural spread takes over." No one cheered. No one smiled. This was not revenge with fire and explosions. This was something older. Something final. Retrieval teams. "Teams Alpha through Delta are en route," the officer said. "Stealth carriers already in position behind the outer gas giant. They will move in small groups. Objective, locate and extract every injured child. Recover bodies if extraction is not possible. Minimize contact. If contact happens, eliminate threats silently." Hale looked around the table. No broadcasts, no announcements, no warnings. "We do not explain. We do not justify. We collect our children. We deliver the verdict. That is all." The meeting ended. People left the room without talking. Outside, in the normal world, people went to work, ate dinner, watched shows. Most did not know what was happening under their feet. But the ones who needed to know were already moving. 2 days later, the first stealth drone slipped past Krell sensors. It looked like a small piece of space junk. It burned up slowly in the atmosphere over the Krell homeworld. A colorless mist spread. It had no smell, no color, no sound. The wind carried it into the ventilation systems of the giant hive cities. On New Harmony, the occupation continued. Krell soldiers stood guard at every street corner. They forced the humans to work in the mines. The adults worked long hours. The children stayed inside schools under heavy watch. The injured ones were kept in the hospital. Mia still had bandages on her arm and face. Tomas could not walk yet. He lay in a bed and drew pictures of spaceships. One night, a teacher named Sarah whispered to the children in the dark ward. "Be brave," she said. "Help is coming." Mia looked up with tired eyes. "When?" "Soon," Sarah said. She did not know if it was true, but she hoped. High above the planet, a small black ship waited in the shadow of the gas giant. It was shaped like nothing. No sharp edges, No lights. It drank in radar and gave nothing back. Inside, 6 members of Retrieval Team Alpha check their gear. Black armor, silent weapons, medical pods for carrying injured children, face masks that showed no expression. Team leader, Captain Reza Khan, spoke in a low voice. We go in tonight. Primary target, the hospital. Secondary, any child separated from parents. We take them out in groups of 4. No heroics, no noise. If a Krell sees us, he dies before he can click. The team nodded. They had trained for this kind of work for years. Most of them had children of their own back on Earth. None of them talked about it now. At 2:17 local time, the first lander dropped from orbit. It fell like a leaf, slow and silent. It touched down behind the hospital in a small alley. The team moved out. 4 shadows slipped between buildings. They avoided patrols. When a Krell guard turned the wrong way, a suppressed dart hit his neck. They dragged the body into darkness. Inside the hospital, they found the children. Mia woke when a gloved hand touched her shoulder. She opened her mouth to scream. A gentle voice said, "Shh, we're humans. We're taking you home." Tears came to Mia's eyes. She nodded. They lifted her carefully into a medical pod. Thomas was next. He smiled weakly when he saw the black figures. "You came," he whispered. One by one, they took the injured children. Some cried. Some slept from medicine. The team worked fast. They left no trace except empty beds and a small data chip on the main desk. The chip held one sentence in Krell script. "We are collecting our children." Nothing more. Outside, another patrol came close. 2 Krell soldiers walked down the street. One stopped. He smelled something strange. Before he could send a pheromone alert, 2 darts hit him and his partner. They fell together. The team loaded the pods into the lander. It lifted off without a sound. By dawn, it was gone. The Krell found the empty beds at morning inspection. They searched the town. They found nothing. No tracks, no blood, no sign. Vexthar received the report on his flagship. He clicked angrily. "Humans sneaking like rats," he said. "Increase patrols. Double the guards on the children." But the children left were the healthy ones. The injured were already gone, safe, on their way to a medical ship hidden far from the system. On the Krell homeworld, the first symptoms appeared. A worker in a lower hive level felt strange. His front legs did not hurt when he lifted heavy loads. He thought it was good. And he slipped. His coordination failed. He fell and could not stand. Others around him began to act the same. Queens in the royal chambers stopped laying eggs. They felt nothing. No pain. No drive. The hive mind started to crack. Small pieces first, then bigger ones. He stood on the bridge and watched mining reports. He thought the humans were weak, finished, broken. He was wrong. On Earth, General Hale received the first extraction report. 6 children safe. More to come. He looked at the screen for a long time. Then he spoke one word. Continue. The galaxy still saw nothing unusual. Trade ships moved. Aliens talked about other things. But something had started. Something quiet. Something unstoppable. The Krell laughed at words. Soon, they would understand what those words really meant. The changes started small. So small that the Krell did not notice at first. On the homeworld, in the deepest levels of the Grand Hive, a worker named Crick 7 felt strange while carrying food to the larvae chambers. His front legs moved fine, but he did not feel the usual ache from the heavy load. Pain had always told him when to rest. Now there was nothing. He kept working longer than normal, then his steps became clumsy. He tripped over a simple ridge in the floor. His mandibles clicked in confusion. He tried to send a pheromone alert to his caste brothers. The smell would not come. His glands felt dry. Around him, other workers began to act the same. They moved without rhythm. Some fell and could not get up. The hive mind, that invisible web of smells and instincts that kept millions acting as one, started to fray. Small tears at first, then bigger ones. In the royal chambers, Queen Mother Vara Prime felt a cold emptiness inside her body. She had laid eggs every day for cycles. Now her ovipositor stayed still. No eggs came. She tried again. Nothing. Her attendants chittered in worry. They touched her with their antennae. She felt their fear, but she could not answer. Her own emotions seemed far away, like echoes in an empty tunnel. On New Harmony, the soldiers noticed it too. A patrol leader named Zorak 9 stood in the central square. He watched humans walk to the mines under guard. He raised his plasma lance to correct a slow worker. His claw tightened. No pain came when the weapon pressed against his shell. He squeezed harder. Still, nothing. He lowered the weapon and stared at it. Something was wrong. Across the Dominion, on dozens of worlds, the same quiet breakdown spread. Miners stopped feeling the heat of machines. Warriors lost the sharp edge of battle rage. Queens stopped producing young. The young that already lived in cradles began to weaken. Their soft bodies needed special care from adults. When the adults could no longer smell the right signals, they forgot how to feed them. Larvae starved slowly. Some liquefied in their pods. Vexthar stood on the bridge of the Iron Sting. Reports came in from every sector. At first they were small, a few workers sick, a queen not laying. He dismissed them. Weak strains, he said. Cull them, replace them. But the reports kept coming, faster, more urgent. Entire castes stopped responding to orders. Ships drifted without crews. Mines shut down because no one could coordinate. He summoned his senior officers. They gathered in the command chamber. Their shells looked duller than before. Their movements were slow. "What is this?" Vexthar demanded. His mandibles snapped. "Speak." One officer stepped forward. His voice clicked weakly. "Unknown pathogen. It attacks our nerves. We feel no pain. Then we lose control. Then nothing works." Vexthar stared. "Humans? We do not know. No signs of weapons. No bombs. No ships. But it spreads too fast. Too perfect." Vexthar turned to the main screen. He pulled up images of New Harmony. The humans still worked in the mines. They looked tired, but alive. No sickness among them. The children who remained were kept in schools. Guards watched them closely. But something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too calm. He remembered the message from Earth. "Say farewell to your entire species." He had laughed then. Now the words sat heavy in his thorax. On the planet below, another retrieval team moved through the night. Team Bravo, 8 operators in black. They came for the last group of injured children still in the hospital. The Krell had moved them to a guarded building after the first extraction. Extra soldiers stood at every door. The team waited in shadows. They watched. The guards moved strangely. One soldier leaned against a wall, his head tilted. He did not stand straight. His legs dragged. The virus had reached them too. Captain Aisha Morales gave the signal. The team moved. Silent darts flew. 4 guards fell without sound. The team slipped inside. They found the children in a large room. 8 of them, all bandaged, all scared. A girl named Leela, 10 years old, sat in the corner. She had lost 2 fingers in the schoolyard blast. She looked up when the door opened quietly. "Are you real?" she whispered. Aisha knelt. "Yes, we're here to take you home." They moved fast. Medical pods opened. Children were lifted gently. One boy cried out when they touched his burned leg. A gloved hand covered his mouth softly. "Shh, almost there." They carried them out. No alarm sounded. The Krell guards lay still. The team loaded the pods into the lander. It rose into the dark sky, gone before dawn. In the morning, Krell officers found the empty room. They searched. They found nothing. Only the bodies of their own guards. No blood. Just stillness. Vexthar received the news. His claws dug into the arm of his command throne. Cracks appeared in the metal. "Find them," he ordered. "Find the humans who do this." But there was no trail, no ships on sensors, no footprints, nothing. The virus moved faster now. On core worlds, hive cities grew quiet. The constant hum of millions of legs stopped. Streets emptied. Larvae chambers became tombs. Queens died one by one. Their bodies lay in royal halls, surrounded by silent attendants who no longer knew what to do. Panic spread. Not the loud panic of screams. The Krell did not scream. They chittered. They clicked. But now even that grew weak. Warriors turned on each other in confusion. Without the hive mind, they saw strangers in their own nests. Fights broke out. Claws tore shells. Bodies piled up. Vexthar watched it all from his ship. He tried to rally what remained of the fleet. Many ships no longer answered. Crews drifted in space, unable to think clearly. Engines failed because no one could work them right. He opened a channel to Earth. His image appeared on human screens. His shell looked cracked. One eye clouded over. "Humans," he said. His translator struggled. "Call off your weapon. We offer terms. Territory, resources, surrender of ships, mercy." The reply came after a long silence. No face appeared, only text. "We are collecting our children, nothing more." The channel closed. Vexthar stared at the blank screen. For the first time in his long life, he felt something close to fear. On a medical ship far from the fighting, the last group of children arrived. Mia and Tomas were there. They lay in clean beds. Doctors worked on their burns. Mia held Tomas's hand. She smiled for the first time in weeks. "See," she said. "They came." Tomas nodded. "They always come." Back on New Harmony, the remaining humans worked under lighter guard. The Krell soldiers moved slower every day. Some fell and did not get up. The humans watched quietly. They did not fight back. Not yet. They waited. In the schoolyard where it all began, someone had placed a small stone marker. No name, no date, just one word carved deep. Soon. The galaxy watched. Ambassadors from the Concord sent messages to Earth. They asked for explanation. Humans answered with the same words every time. "We are collecting our children, nothing more." Older species began to understand. They remembered old stories, warnings about new races, about humans. They had laughed at those stories once, called them myths. Now the myths walked among them. Quiet, patient, final. And the Krell, one of the oldest powers in the stars, began to fade, not with fire, not with war, with silence. The bridge of the iron sting felt colder than before. Lights flickered on some panels. Crew members moved slowly, like insects caught in thick oil. Vexthar sat in his command throne. One of his antennae hung limp. His shell showed fine cracks that had not been there a month ago. He stared at the main screen. It showed reports from every world in the Dominion. Most were blank now. No data came back. He opened a channel again. This time he did not wait for permission. His image appeared across human networks. His voice clicked through the translator, weaker than before. "Humans," he said, "we offer everything. All territory beyond our core systems. All Thorium X mines. Full surrender of the fleet. We will leave your worlds forever. We ask only for mercy. Call off your weapon. Let us live." Silence followed. Long silence. Then text appeared on his screen. No voice, no face. "You did this. Now watch what we do. A video feed opened. It showed the inside of a large white ship. Clean beds lined the walls in neat rows. Soft lights glowed above each one. Children lay there. Some slept, some stared at the ceiling. Mia sat up in her bed. Her arms still had scars, but the burns looked better. She held a small toy spaceship. Tomas lay next to her. His leg was in a medical brace. He smiled when a nurse gave him water. The camera moved slowly. It showed every child from New Harmony who had been hurt. Some missing fingers, some with skin grafts, some still quiet from shock. Doctors moved between beds. Parents sat beside them, holding hands. No one spoke in the video. Only soft sounds of machines and breathing filled the air. Over the picture, one line of text stayed, "You did this. Now watch what we do." The feed ended. Vexthar stared at the black screen. His mandibles trembled. For the first time, he understood. This was not war. This was judgment. He turned to his last loyal officer. "How many queens still live?" The officer answered, 7. All on the homeworld. They no longer lay. The last eggs failed to hatch. Vexthar closed his eyes. And adults? Most are sterile. The virus finished its work. No new young will come, ever. Vexthar said nothing more. He waved the officer away. Alone on the bridge, he looked out at the stars. His empire, once vast, now shrank every day. Worlds went dark, ships drifted, cities became tombs. Human fleets appeared then. Not many at first. A few large carriers, sleek destroyers. They did not attack. They moved to key points around former Krell systems. They built beacons, huge black spheres that floated in space. Each beacon sent the same message in every known language. This space is under permanent human stewardship until the last Krell has passed. Approach equals extinction event. This is not a threat. This is a fact. No shots were fired. No planets burned. Humanity did not need to destroy what was already dying. They only guarded the grave. On the homeworld, the grand hive stood empty in many levels. Wind moved through wide tunnels. Dust covered floors where millions once walked. In the royal chamber, Queen Mother Vara Prime lay on her platform. Her body was thin, her shell dull. Attendants still tried to care for her. They brought food she could not eat. They cleaned her with weak movements. She looked at them with clouded eyes. "I feel nothing," she whispered in the old tongue. "No pain, no fear, only empty." One attendant touched her gently. "We wait," he said. "That is all we have left." She closed her eyes. Hours later, she stopped breathing. The attendants did not cry out. They simply covered her body with a silk cloth. Then they sat in silence, waiting for their own end. Across the Dominion, the same thing happened again and again. Warriors who once conquered worlds now sat alone in barracks. They stared at walls. Queens died in their chambers. Workers fell in mines and stayed there. No one came to move them. Vexthar kept his flagship moving. He refused to land. He refused to give up the last symbol of power. But the crew grew smaller every day. Some died quietly in their bunks. Others wandered the corridors, lost. One day he walked to the engine room. No one worked there. Machines ran on automatic. He sat on the floor. His claws scraped the metal. "Why children?" he asked the empty air. "Why did we choose them?" No answer came. On New Harmony, life slowly returned. The remaining Krell guards were too weak to stand watch. Many had fallen where they stood. Humans walked past them without fear. They helped the sick ones to shelter. Not out of kindness, out of simple mercy. They did not want suffering, only justice. The schoolyard was cleaned. New grass grew over the scorched spots. Children played again. Healthy ones ran and laughed. The ones who had been hurt came back slowly. Mia and Tomas arrived on a transport ship. They stepped onto the ground. Mia looked around. She saw the old swings. She saw the wall where her parents had stood. She walked to the small stone marker. Someone had added more words now. We protect our own. Mia touched the stone. Tomas stood beside her. He put his hand on hers. We're home, he said. Yeah, Mia answered, and they're gone. Years passed, not many. The Krell lived long, but without young, their time ran out. Ships stopped moving. Worlds grew quiet. The beacons stayed in place. Humans patrolled the borders. They let no one in. They let no one out. One day, far in the future, the last Krell died. It was Vexthar himself. He lay on the bridge of the Iron Sting. The ship drifted near a dead star. No crew remained. Only machines kept the lights on. His last thought was simple. We should have left the children alone. Ever. Because when humanity said farewell to a species, they did not speak in anger. They spoke in fact. And facts, once set in motion, did not stop. Decades passed quietly after the last Krell died. The Iron Sting drifted for years near a cold, dead star. Its lights faded, one by one. No one came to claim it. No one mourned it. In time, the ship became a silent monument, floating in empty space. Humans left it there. They did not destroy it. They did not need to. It served as a reminder without words. New Harmony changed. The old colony grew into a bright world of wide parks, tall schools, and clean streets. Trees lined every road. Flowers bloomed in every yard. Children ran and played under open skies. The scars of the occupation faded. New houses replaced damaged ones. The mines closed long ago. The Thorium X stayed in the ground. No one wanted to touch it again. In the center of the old schoolyard stood the tall black obelisk. It rose smooth and straight, higher than any tree nearby. Names covered every side in neat rows. Each name belonged to a child hurt that day. Some names had small dates beside them. Others had tiny carved stars for the ones who never grew up. At the base, deep letters read, "We protect our own." Cross that line again, anywhere in the galaxy, and the same fate awaits. Children touched the stone every day. They traced the names with small fingers. Teachers brought classes there. They told the story in simple words, not to scare the young ones, to teach them. The story was part of who they were now. Mia grew up strong. Her arms still carried faint scars, thin white lines like pale rivers. She became a doctor. She worked in the same hospital where she once lay in pain. Tomas became a pilot. He flew supply ships between worlds. Both of them visited the obelisk often. They brought flowers sometimes. They stood in silence. They remembered. One afternoon, many years later, Mia walked to the schoolyard with her own daughter. The girl was 6. Her name was Lena. She looked up at the tall stone. "Why do we have this?" Lena asked. Mia knelt beside her. "Because a long time ago some people hurt children here. They thought no one would care. They were wrong." Lena touched a name near the bottom. "Did you know her?" Mia smiled softly. "I knew many of them. Some were my friends. Some were me." Lena looked at her mother's arm. She touched the scars. "Does it hurt?" "Not anymore," Mia said. "But we remember, so it never happens again." Lena nodded. She placed a small flower at the base. "I won't let anyone hurt kids." Mia hugged her. "That's the promise we all make." Far from New Harmony, the galaxy had changed too. The Concord still met in its great halls. But the voices were quieter now. Species that once spoke loudly, now listened more. They watched humans with careful eyes. Not fear exactly. Respect. The kind that comes when you see what can happen when a line is crossed. Ambassadors came to New Harmony sometimes. They walked the streets. They looked at the parks. They stood before the obelisk. They read the names. They read the words at the bottom. Most left without many questions. A few asked one thing. Was it worth it? The human guides always gave the same answer. We did not choose the cost. They did. No one argued after that. Trade continued. Humans built more ships. They explored farther. They helped other worlds when asked. But the rules stayed clear. Children were never touched. Not in war. Not in raids. Not even by accident. The older species taught their young the same lesson. Do not touch human children, ever. Stories spread. In quiet bars on distant stations, aliens told the tale in low voices. They spoke of the Krell, once mighty, once proud, gone now, not killed in battle, not bombed from orbit, simply allowed to end. Because they broke one rule. A young diplomat from an old race once asked a human captain about it. They sat in a station lounge. Stars moved slowly outside the window. Did you enjoy it? The diplomat asked. Ending them? The captain looked at his drink. He took a slow sip. No, he said. We did not enjoy it. We did not hate them. We simply finished what they started. The diplomat stared. And if someone else does it again? The captain met his eyes. Then the same thing happens. No more, no less. The diplomat said nothing after that. He left soon. He never asked again. On Earth, the old underground rooms still existed. Project Pale Horse files stayed sealed. New projects waited in silence, just in case. But no one hoped to use them. Hope was that they would stay locked forever. Children grew up hearing the story. Not as horror, as warning. They learned science. They learned ships. They learned peace. But they also learned strength. The quiet kind. The kind that waits. One evening, Thomas flew over New Harmony. His ship carried medicine and books. He looked down at the glowing lights of the city. He saw the schoolyard. The obelisk stood dark against the green. Lights around it made the names shine softly. He smiled. Still there, he whispered. His daughter sat beside him. She was 10 now. She looked out the window too. Dad, she said, will anyone ever try again? Thomas thought for a moment. Maybe, he said, but they will remember first. And if they forget, he did not finish. He did not need to. The girl nodded. She understood. Years turned to decades, then to centuries. The obelisk stayed. New names were never added. No more children were hurt in that way. The galaxy learned. Humans spread to new stars. They built homes. They raised families. They laughed. They cried. They lived. But always, in every colony, a marker stood. Sometimes stone. Sometimes metal. Always with the same words. We protect our own. And somewhere, in the deep quiet of space, the last echoes of the Krell faded completely. No songs, no stories of their own. Only silence. Humans did not celebrate. They did not boast. They simply moved on. Because when they said farewell to a species, they meant it. And the galaxy never forgot.